Hey, Coach, congrats on the win. Chris Paul just said after the game that he met with you before the game, and you told him you were going to sit him. And then he said, hell no, give me a few minutes to see how I do. What was that conversation like before the game? And when he said that to you, did you just see something in his eye where he would be okay today?
I'm not quite sure that was the language used in the conversation, but we had a long talk before the game, and the focus was on, can he be himself and, be effective? And, we were all concerned for, him and how, if he couldn't play the way he wants to, how it would affect the team. And so my initial reaction was to sit him today because I was just worried about how he looked the last game. And then we met again, and he was just like, Coach, look, let me start. And if I look a certain way, then, and you don't feel I'm looking like I normally do, then take me out and we'll have to go a different direction. And so myself, him, and James, I don't know, we talked for about 20 minutes, I guess, before our team meeting. And we just had a meeting of the minds and just decided to trust the player in this situation. For me, as long as he's not going to hurt himself further and it won't hurt the team, then, we can come to a decision like we did today. And this is one of those situations that I had to trust the player, trust our relationship from over the years. And it was an emotional conversation. To have to sit out in a game like this, you can imagine how we both felt. And it was something that I'd been thinking about for the past 48 whatever hours. And it came down to, him looking me in the eyes and saying, just trust me on this one, Coach. If I don't look the way you want me to, then take me out.
Next is Nick King with Channel 3, Channel 5, and then Dwayne Rankin.
Given that, Monty, how surprised were you to see the Chris Paul that we saw today? Looked, I thought, better than he has since before the injury.
Well, that was the one thing that gave me a bit of confidence that he could do it when he came in and he showed me what he could do with his arm pregame. And this was stuff that he couldn't do the last couple of days, and especially in our last game. And so when I saw him do some things with his arm, Coach Willie Green took him out before the game, and they worked out. And that gave me more confidence. And with that being said, I had no idea he was going to be able to do what he did today, to be able to come off screens and knock down shots. His passing was there, the instincts was there, the burst that we've seen this year wasn't as dynamic, but you could see it's coming back. And so I think that gave us and the team a lot of confidence.
Next is Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic, and then Richard Syons.
Yeah, Coach, just two things, just really quick. You said James, you're talking about James Jones, right?
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure because I heard him like, he's talking about James. Okay. Secondly, obviously Chris's impact was huge, and obviously Davis getting hurt was significant, but just your team overall, the defensive effort, getting out in transition, how much did those factors play into you guys winning today?
I mean, that's who we are. That's who we've been for our 2 years. We try to defend and we try to play with a great deal of pace and playing 0.5. And when we can get stops and get down the floor and the ball's just moving around the gym, don't know if it favors us, but that's how we like to play. And then we had guys step up and make shots today. And the other side of it is DA had 17 rebounds. That was a relentless attitude. We lost that battle by 1, but for him to have 17 boards in a game like this was huge for us.
Next up is going to be Richard Syons with Fox 10, followed by Kellen Olson.
Yeah, Coach, you kind of talked about how there was an emotional conversation you had with Chris Paul. Can you just speak to the emotions of a series like this where, the team gets up when they see Chris Paul getting back to his old form, and then vice versa for the Lakers, who seem to have some wind out of their sails when they didn't have Anthony Davis come out in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, it's a roller coaster. When you're in the playoffs and you have time in between games. I mean, you can't even imagine the thought processes that go into, what's your rotation going to be like? How's it going to affect the team? Making the right decision on who to fill those minutes for that particular player. There's a lot that goes on, and we just don't take health for granted, and we don't take the efforts that our guys put on the floor for granted. I just think that, the playoffs bring you to your limits in a lot of ways, and that's how you grow. And you're watching our young team grow on the fly.
Next is Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports and Sierra Santos.
Hey, Monty. Jay was 2 of 20 from 3 coming into this game. We knew he was going to keep shooting. He had a huge game today. Just your thoughts on the way that he played and bounced back.
I mean, we just made a decision to just have a let it fly mentality. That was one of the things we talked about in pregame. We listed 4 things. We didn't even touch the film. We talked about how we want to play. And one of those categories was let it fly. And when you have that mentality, you put up with some shots you may not want in certain environments, but I think guys have to play free. We can't get to this moment and start to change our game, get tight, worry about the consequences. I wanted our guys to be free. And that was my message in one of the categories that they might not even remember, knowing our guys. But that's what we told them. And Jay took it to heart. He had a really good session yesterday, shooting the ball. The day before that, he was a little down. Yesterday, he came in, he had a better spirit. And today, he let it fly, and it helped us win the game.
Next up is Sierra Santos with Fox 10, followed by Greg Moore.
You said over the weekend that you wanted your role players and your bench guys to come out and hoop. What can you say about their performance today?
Well, I think, offensively, you don't necessarily see like a huge number, but defensively, I thought they were sound. I just thought the abandon we played with on defense, I thought the ability to get back into the paint and get hands on balls and get rebounds helped us. And that group was pretty good. They, in a game like this, playing against that kind of team with the championship pedigree, you're going to make mistakes. But I thought even when the bench made mistakes tonight, they stayed with it. And it's huge for us to be able to bring those guys in and not have a drop off in our juice and our energy.
We have time for 3 more. Next up is going to be Greg Moore with the Arizona Republic, and then Kirsten Susel.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on the win. Thank you for fielding so many questions. Greg Moore, Arizona Republic, obviously. Hey, can you just assess for me, please, your team's toughness, intangibles, attitude, body language, and mostly poise, given how tense the game got at times today versus other games in the series?
Yeah, one of the things we said before the game, another category, we talked about being relentless, but it wasn't the type of relentless that you would think of. It was relentless with our energy and focus on the game and not all the extracurricular stuff that had been taking our attention and energy. And we just said we're going to have relentless focus, relentless poise. And even at the end where we had the game won, our guys were talking about the game. Don't say anything crazy, don't get caught up in any of the shenanigans, because we don't want to mess with the game. We respect our opponent. They deserve our attention and focus, and we have to give all of our energies to winning the game. And all the other stuff, we just have to leave it alone.
Got time for 2 more. Next is Kirsten Susel with 12 News. Final question will be Melissa Rowland.
Hey, Monty, there's been a narrative kind of floating around since last game. I saw it pop up a little bit tonight, albeit mostly among Laker fans, but it's that the Suns are a dirty team. Knowing the character of your guys, your own character, do you feel the need to respond or defend the team from that kind of narrative?
I don't, and I'll never respond to narratives because that's what they are. We know the kinds of guys that we brought in. We know the kind of people and the integrity of our players and our organization. And we're not going to field any questions or even give it any attention when people say that kind of stuff, those kinds of things about us. I'll go with these guys anywhere and defend who they are as people and who they are as players. And we're not going to let any narrative take our focus off of trying to win games.
Final question is Melissa Rowland with Fox Sports.
Hey, Monty, how much has Chris Paul's gutsiness and the pain that he's playing through just kind of like inspired everyone around him to become like a rallying cry of sorts for your team throughout this series?
Well, his diligence in how he goes about his work every day has inspired our guys. I mean, a lot of guys have changed how they work out, how they eat, just being around Chris. But then when you see him in a situation like this, where we were, close to sitting him down, and to be in that conversation, if our guys could have seen that conversation and seen the intention and the emotion that went into that conversation, it would have given us even more juice today. I had to look him in the eyes. He had to look me in the eyes, and we had to come to a decision. And James was right there, and we all just agreed to trust the player. And I have to trust his will and his experience and the things he's done over the course of his career. He's trained to be in these moments. And my final thought was, I don't want to be the one that takes that away from him. That was, the lasting thing that I was thinking about, like, who am I to take that away from him? He's worked his tail off for years to be in this moment, and I don't want to be the doofus coach to take that away.